Welcome back to another video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment what you ate today. Today we are about to watch the FBI's most wanted $100 million casino hackers. Whew.
A ransomware group is taking credit for a massive cyber breach.
MGM Resorts International says it has been hit by a cyber attack.
Oh, I remember
TVs
this.
around the casino, couldn't gamble. At this point, we're wondering, what are you paying for?
It's September 11th, 2023, and over at the MGM casinos in Las Vegas, something just isn't right. All of a sudden, guests begin to notice that their room keys no longer work, the casino's computer systems are completely offline, their ATMs and slot machines are also broken, and as a result, the casinos begin losing millions of dollars with every passing day.
Dang.
All because of one simple but fatal mistake.
Don't tell me they missed a phone call and lost all that
The
money.
Las Vegas Strip is one of the most visited streets in the world. It also happens to be the biggest and most famous home for casinos, with over 30 of them spread across the Strip. The two
Gosh.
biggest of these conglomerates are MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment, which combined own over half of these casinos. These casinos earn the two companies a combined average of around $71 million every single day. Now, of course,
What?
this money isn't exactly made ethically. Everyone knows that casinos use a multitude of shady business tactics in order to maximize the amount of money customers spend. Day in and day out, they rob people blind. But what if somehow someone out there was able to flip the switch? What if someone was able to publicly embarrass,
This has to be costing MGM millions of dollars an hour.
mess up the operations of,
MGM Properties says the hack crippled key cards, slot machines,
and steal more money from these two companies than they could ever dream of winning at one of their establishments?
What happened, dog? Stop setting me up.
They called themselves Scattered Spider, a small group of
hell
hackers
no.
associated with a much more notorious ransomware group, Black Cat. They were also relatively new to the scene, having only formed in May 2022, but that didn't stop them from becoming a major threat. According to this article, Scattered Spider had already hit over 200 different organizations in their short time on the internet. The biggest of these including companies like Psycho, Reddit, and Mandiant, to which, after getting targeted, their CTO would state that this group is one of the most prevalent and aggressive threat actors impacting organizations in the United States today. The group primarily specialized in social engineering attacks, having the most success by using a method called phishing. Instead of using suspicious emails and websites to trick users into handing over sensitive information, the hackers would instead call the victim over the phone pretending to be a representative of an organization, and eventually convince the employees to hand over things such as bank account numbers, phone numbers, email addresses, and anything else that could be used against them. Now, this type of attack isn't exactly uncommon. At one point or another, it's gotten the infamous
So let me break this down, because he's been setting us up, playing good music this whole time. But social engineering is basically using the flaws and the natural need to want to help people or desire to help people as a means to take advantage of them. So a lot of people want to help, a lot of people want to be nice. And so vishing is coupled with social engineering. It falls underneath it. And so vishing is voice phishing, or you're impersonating someone else to steal and gain information. So an example of this is someone can call Verizon and say, hey, I'm a Verizon tech, I'm out here in the field, I'm trying to help a customer out, here's my work ID. They give a fake ID, or if they found someone's real ID, they could give that, this fake ID, give me their information, let me get their phone number, their address, their this, their confirmation number, all of that, their two-factor, and then they end up stealing that person's information and hacking into their account and doing all types of things like that. So that's social engineering and vishing explained. I just had to give y'all some of that cybersecurity, some of that IT knowledge. Come on now.
call about your car's extended warranty, or watched a video of some guy trolling people who do these attacks. However, the thing that made Scattered Spider so effective at these kind of attacks was their English accent. When reached out to on Telegram, a person who claimed to be a member of Scattered Spider said that the group contains fewer than 10 people, most of which are friends and are based in places like the United States and the United Kingdom. Because of this, all of the crew speaks fluent English, which allowed their calls to sound much more official and convincing rather than an automated call system. When asked about possible motives, the member responded by saying that the group focuses on companies valued from $15 billion to $45 billion, and that they're very careful with who they decide to target. For example, they avoid hospitals because that's a jail sentence just waiting to happen. They said if a company has money and meets their requirements, it doesn't matter what field it's in, they'll hit it. The group's motive is simply to get rich quickly and get away with it. And now they're coming up on their biggest target yet, and unfortunately, it meets all of their requirements. Kind of like how you're being targeted right now. Thankfully, Aura.
Hell no, you gonna hit me with an ad?
Earlier, I mentioned how a ton such as your full name, email, and even breaches, scanning both the dark. On top of that, they manager to make antivirus, identity theft insurance. You can get started with Aura on a 2-week free trial by going to aura.com to target MGM casinos. Their initial plan for this attack was actually fairly complicated. They wanted to hack into certain slot machines at these casinos, change the odds in the machines, rigging them to win every time, and then hire people to travel to these casinos in real life and milk the machines for all of their money.
Dumb idea.
A trick straight out of Ocean's 13. But as we know, life isn't always like the movies. And as it turned out, the software used to run these slot machines was a lot harder to crack than they thought. So instead, they decided to shift gears and resort to their backup plan. They moved over to a website called LinkedIn and began to look through a list of the casino's employees. After that, it was presumed that they then selected some sort of highly privileged employee off the list, and after finding as much sensitive information on them as possible, they called MGM's support desk impersonating as them, using the information as a weapon.
MGM Help Desk, how can I help you today?
Hey there, my name is... I tried logging into my account this morning, but it just won't seem to let me in. So I was just wondering if I could get like a password reset or something.
And after a bit of back and forth, the hackers were able to convince the employee into resetting the password for them, subsequently granting them access to the casino's entire back end. One simple 10-minute phone call was responsible.
No cap, that would actually work. It is actually that simple. When I used to work on the help desk, it was actually that simple. Someone would call in and say, hey, can you reset my password? This is my name. And we would reset their password. That's crazy, right? We would reset their password, but it would require them to change their password once they signed on. So once they signed on, they could change the password completely from what I set it to, and they got the account. There was no confirmation process, no nothing. It was we called, they called in, we picked up the phone. Hey, can you reset our password? And we would reset it. So this would have worked at one of my old companies, and this works. This works. I'm not trying to tell y'all to go do this and go trying this, but unfortunately it works. So there is a flaw within the help desk and IT support process in which people can just call in, it asks for a password reset, and this person did something called social media, I forget exactly what it is, but it's basically gathering information from someone's social media and using that to further impersonate them. So this person that they're impersonating probably had LinkedIn, people start posting their sob stories. Oh, today my cat died. And they put up 45 paragraphs about their cat dying, their whole life. They put everything on their Instagram, their Facebook. So it's very easy to gather information on people using their social media. And so that's what they did. They used their LinkedIn, they used their posts, they used all the information that they have put up there to help verify and try to confirm that they are the person that they are impersonating, and it worked. So please be careful what you are putting on the internet, and if you are watching this and you work on the help desk, maybe it's time to advocate for some type of authentication or verification process when somebody says, hey, reset our password, but these motherfuckers is good.
For a catastrophic amount of damages. And now that they were in, the group silently began to steal confidential data belonging to thousands of the casino's customers. This info included things like their names and contact info, date of birth, driver's license numbers, and in some cases, their
Hold on. This is another problem, right? How did somebody access all that information? Because usually there is two-factor, and all these documents should be stored somewhere that is not locally on someone's device, right? So if these hackers are impersonating someone, that means they're logging into systems in which they can get into all these documents, because the only other way they can access these documents would be for them to be stored somewhere locally, which they can't be locally because it's the hacker's computer. That's what locally means. It means it's on the device that you're currently using. So that means this company did not have any two-factor or any other verification process to get into the systems that contained all these documents. So again, I warn you watching this, if you work on a help desk, make sure you have two-factor on, three-factor on, whatever it is, MFA. And if you are somebody that doesn't work at the help desk, please be very careful. If you're just a regular person, a layman's person, please be very careful on where you send your information, who you allow to have your information, because everybody doesn't store it properly.
Security numbers. Meanwhile, MGM's management had created a makeshift war room where a mix of executives, IT professionals, and lawyers began strategizing on how to minimize the damage. They tried forcing the hackers out by shutting down every one of their Okta servers, but at that point, it was too late. Eventually, the group would send a ransom note to the casino stating that if a deal isn't reached, they shall carry out additional attacks. Sadly, MGM refused this deal, and as a result, even more chaos began to ensue. Since the casino's computers were now offline, employees had to start paying out customers' winnings in cash, and it was reported that guests even had to be checked in manually with a pen and paper. At the same time, dozens of videos began to surface online from angry customers showcasing things like rows of hacked slot machines, as well as other issues like their digital room keys not working, leaving them locked out of their hotel room. All of this would come to a head on September 11th, when you finally subscribe to my channel, when MGM would finally put out a statement regarding the issue, confirming that they've began an investigation, as well as completely shut down their website, leaving only this mysterious message for over 5 days. Shortly after hearing that, Caesars Entertainment would also go on the record claiming that pretty much the exact same thing happened to them a couple weeks back, where an unidentified group of hackers stole customer info from over 65 million of their members, with the only difference between these two being that Caesars actually paid the hackers $15 million in exchange for the data to be deleted. And while this did seem to solve their issue, as shortly after the ransom was paid, the palace became fully operational again, only time will tell if the customer data was actually deleted.
Dummies, you never pay the ransom. What? They're lucky. What? They're so... Never pay the ransom. Always have a plan. Have a plan. If you actually have a plan, because you never pay the ransom, because once you pay the ransom, they have no obligation to abide by the agreement that if you pay the ransom, they will release your data and will allow you back into your systems. That's why you don't pay the ransom, because most times once you pay the ransom and they have their money, they go ghost, they stop responding, and so they have the money and you still don't have your systems and you need to fix them. They said, hey, we'll give you the money, give us our systems back, and delete all that information. And you know what they didn't do? Delete all that information. That's why there was that Social Security breach that happened, I think a couple months ago. And it was so big because people like this pay ransoms, expecting people to delete customer data, and they don't delete it. They release it, and they sell it, and they get a bag off selling that type of sensitive information as well. So you never pay the ransom. This Caesars Casino is an idiot.
Or if it will surface online somewhere in the future.
It
took
has
10 long days before MGM finally announced that all of their hotels and casinos were back to operating normally.
They paid it.
And after 3 weeks, MGM Resorts CEO reported that the whole incident was totally behind them. Even though this marked the end to all of their immediate problems, the lasting effects of this attack were arguably much worse. You see, this attack was no silent matter. It made national headlines and was covered by almost every major news outlet under the sun, exposing everyone to exactly what happened and how MGM handled the situation. Almost immediately, the conglomerate started facing a ton of backlash for seemingly prioritizing and protecting their revenue rather than their clients' personal information. If MGM possibly had better protocols in place for password recovery, or gave their employees a bit better training, this entire scandal might have not even happened in the first place. However, at the time, this backlash was the least of their worries. Inside of a regulatory filing to the US Securities and Exchange Commission, it was revealed that as a result of the attack, MGM Resorts took a financial hit of over $100 million. Keep in mind this number doesn't include the various lawsuits the casino also received, which undoubtedly cost a pretty penny to deal with as well. Additionally, the stock prices belonging to both of the casinos tanked significantly, with Caesars dropping from a value of $60 per share in late July down to $46, and MGM going from $51 down to just $36 a share, a staggering 27% decrease. As for the fate of the hackers, this part was the most interesting to me. Normally, after causing a disturbance as widespread as this one, the hackers would be caught by authorities within a few days or weeks and either get severely punished or, in rare cases, get offered some sort of cybersecurity job working for the organization that caught them. However, Scattered Spider's case played out a little differently. According to various news articles, it seems as though the FBI had actually known the identities of at least a dozen members tied to the group and have been keeping an eye on them for over a year before the incident. Yet for some unknown reason, the group was never reprimanded. A chief executive at one of the companies Scattered Spider previously hacked attributed the FBI's low response to a potential lack of employees. Nowadays, it's not so uncommon to see cybersecurity experts leave their job working for law enforcement to a private sector which offers them higher salaries. Law enforcement, certainly at the federal level, has all the tools and resources they need to be successful in going after cyber criminals. They just don't have enough people. Another issue the FBI had to deal with is the overall loose-knit nature of the group itself. Like I mentioned earlier, Scattered Spider is composed of small clusters of individuals who collaborate on and off specific jobs. This type of structure can make it difficult for the FBI to coordinate internally across its many field offices around the country. To further support this theory, it was even reported that numerous field offices were individually investigating different hacks launched by the same group without immediately being aware of their connection, which ended up delaying the process. Regardless, the entire attack is a lesson in security and awareness.
Alright, that's the video right there. And closing this video out, let me give y'all a little bit of advice. For my IT people, get y'all MFA right. For my regular people, be careful who you allow to have and store your information. I know gambling is a big thing. I know sports betting, DraftKings, Autumn Kings, all them types of little applications and them 50 leg parlays and all that stuff. I know it's enticing. I know you're trying to come up because your job ain't paying you enough and you want to quit every morning, but after you hit the blizzard, you feel all right and you going to work. I know it's tough, but please be careful because like they said, these people ain't even in jail. They knew who the people were, but the government ain't have enough bodies, humans, to go after them and capture them and do a full and thorough investigation. They say they knew about them 6 months to a year before they ever did this attack and go after them. Them people still free. They came up on 15 million, broke down and made the casino lose 100 million, plus made them their stock drop 27%. They came up on a bag. There was 10 of them. That's 1.5 million for each of them. They was never gonna get that at their regular job. And why would they go? This guy said, usually they go and they join the company that they worked for as a cybersecurity professional. Why would I do that when I can keep finessing these other companies for millions and millions and I ain't going to jail? I obviously don't have no morals or no ethical code, no nothing like that, so I don't care. I'm going to just keep stealing the money. So people, be careful out there and don't become a cyber criminal because you see these people get away with it. Your ass going to jail if you try it. I'm out of here, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share.